So I have not uploaded here for a minute. We're going to get into that. I've basically been traveling for a little bit, and then I really was focusing on the main channel for a while. I've been editing vlogs, which they're going up on the main channel. I decided just to try something new. If that doesn't work out, I'll probably go back to putting vlogs here on this channel. But yeah, and this is the new background. I moved to LA, and yeah, like I said, I released a Thailand vlog. I went to Hong Kong. I'm releasing something about that, and or another vlog about that to be specific. I think I'm still going to be I'm still going to release 3 vlogs, but just the order was different than I expected. So I visited 3 new countries. That was Thailand, Bangkok, Hong Kong, China, and then Bali, Indonesia. There's not going to be a Bali vlog though, because in Bali, I got Bali belly. Now, in other countries, they refer to this a little bit differently. There's something known as Montezuma's Revenge in Mexico. There's also something called Delhi belly. I just researched and saw something called Casablanca cruds. Yes, Casablanca cruds. Basically, anything that starts, it's just some stupid, it's diarrhea. It's like a pretty bad, well, I don't really know, but this is the story time basically that is, I think it's just, it's bacteria. So first of all, I didn't know. I have to be honest. I've traveled a lot, but I've only traveled to like North America and Europe. I wasn't aware that you probably shouldn't be drinking the tap water in other countries. Well, I mean, I kind of was, but I wasn't aware to the extent. I obviously did end up drinking water that I shouldn't have, and I would not recommend, because that was not very fun. So yeah, like I said, I was supposed to make 3 vlogs, which I think I will end up making 3 vlogs of my channel, of my journey, but one of them was supposed to be about Bali, Indonesia. The issue is that I got Bali belly right in the very beginning, and I was basically unable to vlog anything. In retrospect, I really wish I just powered through it and did it, because that would have been a hilarious vlog. I don't know actually if it would have been hilarious. It might have been a disgusting vlog, but essentially, all these like names, like I just said, there's something called Delhi belly, Casablanca cruds, Montezuma's Revenge. It's basically all diarrhea, and it's because of like bacteria in the water, especially that you're not specifically used to. So the story is, when we got to Bali, I'm gonna give an overall review of Bali in this video. I gotta say, Bali, absolutely not a fan. Would not recommend. Out of the 3 weeks that I was visiting Asia for the first time for, I hated Bali. No, I don't want to say I hated Bali. I did not like Bali at all. And I'll be honest, if you asked me, so I kind of tried to keep it a secret. I kind of wanted it to be kind of a surprise on where I was going. But if I did like a tier list of what I was going to like the most, I would have put Bali at the bottom even before I went. I just knew, like, here's the thing for me, like, I know myself as a traveler. I know myself as, like, what I like to explore, what I like to see when visiting new countries and cities for the first time. I like to see the way people live. I like to see how life works. I like to see the language and the culture and the music and the dances. And Bali is not going to give you that authentic Indonesian experience. So I knew I wasn't going to like it that much. Like, you know, I visited Mexico multiple times. My worst experiences throughout Mexico has always been like the touristy areas. I didn't love Cancun. Now, I didn't go into the city of Cancun. I stayed on a resort, but yeah, like going to the touristy areas of any country, it's just like blah. It's just bland. Why did I, fly whatever it is 12 hours to get here if I was only going to visit like some hotel and stay on some resort? Again, I could have gone out of my way to do other things. It's my fault. But anyways, I just don't prefer that way of traveling. I'm a traveler. I'm not a vacationer. I just realized that there's a distinction recently. When I travel, it's hard. Traveling is very different than just vacationing. And I enjoy putting myself in like uncomfortable positions to be able to see something that I've never seen before, or feel something, or experience something. So anyways, I already knew that Bali wasn't going to be that fun. And that was basically the case, but this whole experience made it so much worse. So basically, the story is, this is going to be kind of funny. I'm going to give it to you raw. Probably there's a better way to put that, but I'm going to give it to you raw. Basically, we get to Bali. The airport is exactly how I expected it. I've dealt with many airports that are like that. We leave the Bali airport. Well, first of all, the inside portion of the Bali airport, absolute insanity. I could not believe how insane this airport really was. And you know what? Everyone was saying that the people that had actually been, because we went with a big old group of people, everybody that was saying that they'd been to Bali before, that actually wasn't the worst they've seen it. They've seen it worse than that. But it was so chaotic. There were like 5 different documents that we had to sign. Not only the visa on arrival, but a bunch of other BS stuff that we had to say that we weren't bringing in certain things to Bali, that we had to sign in on, I don't know, vaccines. There's all these annoying little things. That was pretty bad. And then it took forever to get our bags. We go through security. We land at 5 p.m. on like a Monday or Tuesday. It was a Monday. So it was absolute insanity to have to get to where we needed to go. There were those roads there were, and I had just experienced like a large part of Asia, but Bali was on a different level, a completely different level. That traffic was terrible. So yeah, we get there, we're put in buses, and it takes way too long to get to this resort. So we decided to just do the next thing. We were supposed to go to like some club. We were supposed to go to the resort and then go to a club. We decided to go straight to the club because it was on the way and because the traffic was taking way too long. So anyways, we had to basically start drinking pretty early. So we had to have a good night. You know, it was a fun little time, and I definitely did. I started drinking, and I started going pretty hard because it was a long travel day. I think that, I don't know if anyone else gets this experience or has this experience too, but when I'm traveling, the alcohol will hit me hard. Like on travel days specifically, if I give my body like a rest and I sleep at the hotel the next day and then I start, whatever drinking alcohol, then that's one thing. But like when, you got to wake up early, make it to the airport on time, you have to do like a 5-hour plane ride, then you have to do a bus ride out of the airport. Usually the alcohol will hit me pretty hard in those instances, and that is exactly what happened. To be fair, I did drink a lot, but it hit hard, and I was having a good time. The problem is I had too good of a time. I didn't black out, but it was definitely hazy. It was definitely very hazy. And we get to the resort after this club. The club was all right. It was okay. Again, I like to do that sort of stuff, but when I'm traveling, I really want to feel something more than like I will do days like that. I think it's always good to see the nightlife of other countries, but for me, I do prefer the authentic experience. So we do get to the resort. I barely remember that. I'm messed up. In fact, the next day, I probably woke up like more hungover than I've ever woken up in my life. Now, I don't drink as much as I used to anymore, so that's part of the reason why. I think that's a big reason why, to be quite honest with you. I'm just not as experienced with it anymore. My body's not prepared. So I wasn't ready for that. So I woke up so messed up, and I wasn't thinking straight. I did brush my teeth with the water. They say to not even brush your teeth with the tap water. They say to use like bottle of water. And that's the thing about Asia. They were giving us like bottles of water. Like every hotel was dropping off bottles of water in the hotel, which is very nice of them, very kind. But the big reason for that is because they do not want you to drink the tap water. I was brushing my teeth with the water in all the countries I went to, Bangkok, Hong Kong, China. But I don't think that was the reason why. I was very hungover. Usually my safe space, my go-to spot in those situations is to take a shower to wake myself up. And I just wasn't thinking. And a little bit of shower water definitely entered my... Not even a little bit. I would say a good amount. I'd say a definite good amount. And that is more than likely how I got this thing. And I ended up recovering from the hangover like hours later after I vomited. And the issue is this hit me about 8 hours later. So first it was a bad hangover. And then 8 hours later, I get I get hit with the Bali belly. I didn't even know what Bali belly was until I got to the resort. Someone else informed me of it. I'm like, Bali belly, that doesn't sound very fun. Actually, in fact, the moment I heard those words, as soon as those words entered my eardrum, I had no idea at the time that bacteria was definitely floating around in my stomach at that point, because about 3 or 4 hours, the first symptoms started to arrive. And basically everything that I just said, Montezuma's Revenge, Bali belly, all that stuff, it's just like really bad diarrhea. Now, I've known people that got Montezuma's Revenge. I actually know a lot of people that went down to Mexico. Montezuma's Revenge is from Mexico. I forgot to mention that. It's after the Aztec king Montezuma. But I know a lot of people that got Montezuma's Revenge. I will say it's not as bad as that. Every story I've heard about that in Mexico was way worse. Like I heard one of my friends tell me that they had it for like 2 weeks, a week or two. Mine only lasted 48 hours, thank God. Probably because I didn't consume that much shower water. So to be fair, it only lasted 48 hours. I was only in Bali for like 72 hours, to be quite honest. But yeah, it hit about 8 to 10 to 12 hours after I consumed that dirty water, and it just gave me the runs. It just went straight through me. And basically, not to get too graphic or too detailed, but I basically had to use the restroom every hour. Every hour. I also had a very bad fever, and I was sweat like at night. That was the worst part of it. During the daytime, I could deal with it. I did have a headache too. I had a headache, and then every hour I had to use the restroom. The worst of it was at night though, because at night, you still have to use the restroom every hour. So you're not getting good sleep, and I had a really bad fever to the point where like when I was laying in bed, I would wake up at like 3 a.m. to use the restroom. I'd already used it like 5 different times. And when I used the restroom and I came back, I'd go back to my spot in the bed and I'd be like, wow, it is drenched. Did I take a shower? Did I like drunkenly take a shower? I didn't, because I stopped drinking alcohol after that. Did I drunkenly take a shower and jump into bed without drying myself off? No, I was just sweating bullets to the point where there was just water. It felt like water was all over the bed. It was disgusting. It was really gross. So the worst part was the nighttime. Luckily, I did get some medicine for it, some anti-diarrhea medicine. That saved my life. Thank you to the girl that gave me that. Let me borrow that. That saved me because we had to go back from the resort to the airport, and that was a 2-hour drive. And that was terrifying because we had to use a taxi. And I don't know if they would have let me just pull over. I don't know if they would have pulled over. But that medicine probably saved me from some crazy embarrassment, because I don't think I would have been able to survive otherwise. The 2-hour drive back to the airport was my fear, and then we had a 3-hour flight. So it was terrifying. But that medicine, woo, that's some good stuff. If you ever have any of these problems, definitely bring anti-diarrhea medicine. That was amazing, because as soon as I took it, it was kind of over. I could feel that the Bali belly was settling. It was kind of over, and I'd done a lot of research, and it said it's supposed to only last 48 hours. But by the time I took that medicine, it was over. I didn't have the symptoms anymore. The fever was gone. I mean, I was trying to negate my fever with like Advil or Tylenol, and then I finally used anti-diarrhea medicine on the trip back home, and finally that stopped. So it was a quick thing. I will say those 2 nights were pretty bad. That was really not fun. But luckily it was only 48 hours, and again, people have had way worse experiences than me. I think I didn't consume enough water. I'm hoping that's part of it. But yeah, like I said, I mean, this is a big element. If I do another tier list of like ranking all the countries in my experience, I gotta say Bali is gonna go probably at the very bottom. Not just because of this experience, and that is my own dumb fault. Honestly, this is just my stupidity. But I would say that there was a lot more than just that made me not enjoy Bali. But then again, I will say I also don't really love Hawaii that much either. Now, I've only been to the Big Island. No, sorry, I've only been to Oahu in Hawaii. But it gives me the same exact vibe. For some reason, I'm thinking really Hawaii right now. Like, I don't really have any interest returning back to Hawaii. It just felt, at least that part of Hawaii, it's really touristy. It's very vacation-y. And that's just not my vibe. Just like I won't want to return to a resort in Mexico anymore. That's just not how I like to travel. And Bali is just one giant tourist trap, if that wasn't obvious. And I knew that was going to be the case beforehand. Like I said, I knew that was going to be my least favorite city that I got to explore in Asia, and it definitely was. In fact, some of the only things that I really loved about Bali was walking off of the resort and seeing just some of the farmland out there, seeing people in like the paddy fields. That was incredible. I got some footage of that just on my phone though. That was really amazing. But yeah, I mean, depending on what type of person you are, if you're a vacationer, definitely would recommend. I know the Australians love Bali. I know a lot of people, especially from Asia, love Bali. But as someone from America, from California, if you're thinking about going to Bali and doing that long flight, I would not recommend. I would not. It is cheap. It is cheap, but it wasn't that cheap. And obviously in the touristy areas, they're going to jack those prices up. So anyways, I don't know. Again, I think I'd have a different perspective if I was living in like Sydney or Perth, Australia, because that's like what, a 3 or 4 or 5 hour plane ride? Okay, 5 hours for like a nice Hawaii vibe, that's fine. But from Los Angeles, I would definitely not go to Bali. If I was trying to, like that definitely doesn't, and that does, I have to say, like that does go into my ranking. I have to admit, Bali is hit negatively just because of where I live. So if you're like from the US or Canada or from Europe, I wouldn't recommend doing that flight all the way over there. Again, this also does not condemn all of Indonesia. I really want to go to Jakarta. I want to go to other parts of Indonesia, but I would not go back to Bali. Yeah, that's just not my vibe. But I definitely might want to come back and do kind of a tier list of the things that I enjoyed the most in this trip. Even though Bali was below, absolutely loved Bangkok. I knew I was going to love Bangkok. And Hong Kong was just a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I thought that was incredible too. So that was fun. But anyways, more vlogs to come. This channel is now going to be re-uploading again. I don't know what we're going to be talking about, but I'm sure it won't have to do with diarrhea. Or maybe it will. Who knows? Let me know if you like this.